talk exactly what you want to hear about, okay? Because there's no value in me just like talking in generalities when we have a group that's small enough that we can just talk about specifics, okay? So one of the things that I call this, has anyone read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why? Or seen the best of TED Talks? It kind of flew around, it was pretty viral, the video. But anyways, he calls it the golden circle, and it's the idea that you have your why, like the purpose of what you do when you do. Then you have your how. You can tell the handwriting is just horrible, by the way. And then you have your what. And so the thing that I want to focus on today in our conversation is, why would you want to do social media? Like, what's the point of it? Is it to have a lot of likes? Is it to have a lot of followers? There's some value to that, but it's more or less you want engagement online, where people are. How many of you bought something in the last month online that normally you could have bought in the store, right? A lot of us, right? So the attention of the average person right now is going online, and so you want to make sure that you have a presence there before you're kind of left on the wayside going, oh, I wish I had a community, I wish I had this network. And so that's what you're looking for, is ultimately engagement versus quantity, right? So think of it, it's quality of engagement versus quantity, right? So if I have 1 million followers and I do a post, but I only have like 100 people actually make any comments, there's no value there. It's better to have 1,000 people, much more manageable, and I have 10 people that are engaging with me, okay? So it is one of those quality greater than quantity scenarios. So let's start from there. We can get into the what of it, and that can be some of the details, but ultimately you want to figure out for each of you, what is your why in being online. So I'll share with you my why. It was about a year ago. I had decided, if you remember a year ago, there was like all the political unrest, and so everybody hated everybody else just because you had a different opinion. Nobody was really open-minded, but they said they were open-minded, but they really didn't care about your opinion because they really care about their own. And they're going to try to persuade you, Pat, to believe what I believe, and if you don't, you're an idiot, right? So we had all this judgment, we had all this negativity, and so I said, I'm kind of a cockeyed optimist, and so I just want to share that with the world and promote that positivity. So my why for me is to leave a legacy by positively impacting people. And so the reason why I chose the career that I chose, because I know that for a lot of people, what they deal with when it comes to finances is very stressful. And so I want to be able to be a positive influence and be able to helping them save for the future, protect the money that they've saved. So that's what I do professionally. So social media for me is just a ton of fun. And it's just a way for me to connect with people. And it, literally, this is some of the strange things that have happened. I remember literally Snapchatting with someone as I'm driving from, if you're not familiar with Snapchat, it's basically another app. That you can do long distance with someone in England, and he's telling me his story about how his dad was very abusive, used to knock him around, used to knock him and his mom around, and then he got involved with karate, with black belt, so he could defend himself. And then he wanted to be able to share that with the community. So he actually got involved with the local YMCA there. We call it the YMCA, but I think it's another abbreviation over there in England. And that's what he taught, was self-defense classes for people, especially those that were suffering from domestic violence, so that way they could feel like they had a little bit of confidence in standing up for themselves. So, so it was amazing. Here I am driving from Wausau to Eau Claire, which, by the way, is a very boring drive. It's very gorgeous, but it's not a lot is happening. No offense to anyone that lives in Marathon City. But you're basically driving through, and not a lot's going on, right? And so here I am having this really intense, very intimate conversation with someone on an app that I'm barely even on. So, I think I even had to figure out how to use Snapchat in order for him and I to be able to connect. Anyway, so that's kind of the context that I want to give this for you. I am not an expert. There's no I don't run a media company, so there's not going to be like this. Hey, if you want to get with me, $189 a month, then I can hook you up, and I'm going to give you all my tips. I'm going to give it all out here because that's exactly what it was given to me. And I learned best for me just by doing. So number one, when it comes to social media, you're not going to break it, right? So push buttons, respond to different things. It doesn't matter. You're not going to hurt it. And to be honest, if you make mistakes, majority of the time people aren't really watching, so it's kind of cool. So let's start with what you want to hear before I just jump down some canned remarks. What do we got? What do you want to know about? Somebody said Instagram. So what specifically, Lynn, when it comes to Instagram, did you want to know about?
Well, no, I don't want to waste everybody's time if that's not what people want to talk about.
No, write it down. I'll write it down. You just say it.
it's a hard, it's I don't get it. It's confusing to me. I've been using Facebook for years, and I've
Yep.
done ads and stuff on Facebook, but then I go to Instagram and I don't know what buttons to push, and it's really frustrating to me.
Okay.
But I need to be on there because I have a Instagram, 2 Instagram accounts, and they're getting hits, and I think it's the younger people, and I need to hit them for both my curves and for my clothing business.
Okay. Yeah, Allison.
Building your tribe, your anchor podcasts, and like Zoom or conference calls, which do you prefer if you're going to do like group training online?
Okay. What else?
I want to know the difference between effectiveness of Facebook versus Instagram versus Snapchat and what markets. So like, do we have to do Snapchat to stay with the game to hit millennials and younger, or is that not as effective to stroke?
Okay. I can just call it demographics, right? Demo? Sorry, the handwriting's horrible. We'll explain it. I'll translate what the Chinese writing is up there. Anything else?
Getting the most out of your
Tony.
LinkedIn.
Oh, no. Amber,
Sorry.
what?
Getting the most out of your LinkedIn.
Okay. And so I'm going to say LinkedIn. At the same time, I'm going to say any other social media, right? So getting the most out of it. How do I basically do that? Tony.
Is there anything I need to be paying for? LinkedIn Pro, ads, Facebook, anything like that?
So basically, if I'm going to drop some dollars, where's the right place to put it? Okay.
And then how about boosting versus doing actual ads on Facebook or getting Instagram now too?
Yep.
YouTube videos and like what production things that you use, so this is like camera or lighting, etc.
Okay. What else? Sarah? Besides Carrie Ann convincing you to come here, what's on your mind? Okay, I told Connor to play. We don't need to clip to that. Just know that she's eating. So anything else that is on your mind? Okay, we're gonna go there. So we'll just start kind of right from the top. I'm gonna take my jacket off. Everybody, because I get really excited, so I'm gonna start sweating. But just so you know, I'll still smell terrific. Just I just wanted that on video, Carrie Ann. You know what I mean? So first is when it comes to, I'm going to start here with the big picture of like all these different social media tools, right? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and basically kind of what's going on over there, what's the demographic look like, and then ultimately why should I be involved? I talk really fast because there's just a goblet of information I can get out to you. So when you watch this on YouTube, you can slow it down and watch it at a normal speed, but let's just keep running with it, okay? So first off, I would say that Facebook is where the majority of people are, right? There's like 1.2 billion people. Think about that, that's like 15% of the world's population is on one digital app, which is just mind-blowing, right? Of those, there's about 60 million that are actual business pages. And of those business pages that are about 60 million, there's about like, I think, is it 3 million that are actually paid, that are constantly paying for their ads to be out there sponsored. And so, you know, to a certain extent, Facebook now, they want to make money, right? Like at first, Zuckerberg had it for this altruistic, but now it's a publicly traded company. So unfortunately, you have shareholders, so you need to make profit. So they're basically trying to move those 57 million, 55 million Facebook pages that are business related to being paying dollars, right? So I give that as context because what happened was a couple of years ago, the algorithm changed. So the engagement that you were getting on one of your posts isn't the same that it is before because you have all these paying customers, these paid Facebook business pages, and now they need to kind of get in your feed, okay? And so the thing about, I would say, on any social media is you don't want to get stuck on one app because you're building a community. And so let's say like MySpace, how many of you are on MySpace, right? And everyone was friends with Tom. Now Tom has no friends because nobody's on MySpace. He probably has still several thousand, but that's what happens when you put all your eggs into one social media basket. The moment that it decides to dissolve, did you have enough engagement with individuals to kind of jump offline? So Allison, you brought up Anchor on podcast. this is one of the great tools to be able to use. You can use a podcast. Now I'm connecting with, let's say, Carrie Ann, she's on my podcast. I might get her cell phone. I might get her email address. And now I can start building a database to connect with people if one of these apps decides to just totally shut down, right? You don't want to be at the mercy of one particular app. So then Facebook, remember they bought Instagram, right? After like 3 days or something, they basically made a huge multi-billion-dollar purchase because they saw the attention, they saw the grab. So right now you see a lot of engagement on Instagram. I'd say the way the algorithm works is it's bringing to you what you want to see. So it's recognizing that you're double tapping that hard or you're making some comments, and it's bringing to then, if I like a lot of Jackie's stuff, all of a sudden next thing you know, I'm getting almost all of her stuff that's being put up. Where in other apps, it just doesn't seem to be the case, okay? The nice thing as well about from Instagram is that you can post from there onto Facebook, onto Tumblr, not that people are using it anymore, onto Twitter. The downside on Twitter, though, is it comes up as a hyperlink. So if I'm watching you on Twitter and I see that you posted on Instagram, I have to now click. Now I know that's cumbersome, but it really is, right? To just do that click and then to open it up. And plus, we're kind of scared of clicking links, and what if it sends me something weird, or I'm at work, I don't want to see that. So just know that when you use Instagram, it allows you then to post into other mediums. Facebook, it's seamless. Except the videos, usually you have to press play in order to see the video, but for Twitter, it just has that extra step that if you really like that video and you have a decent engagement on Twitter, you'd probably want to post that video or that content on its own, let it stand alone on Twitter, and then go from there. And then finally, you got Snapchat. This one is a little bit more. It is definitely a younger person's demographic. Facebook, if you remember, for those of you that are about my age, when we were on it, we were young, but that was a decade ago. And so, unfortunately, we're now, quote unquote, the older group. Plus, because we started having families, we started having kids, right? Allison's got this beautiful baby here. And what happens is, Grandma and Grandpa got on the app because they want to see pictures of Avery, right? They want to see what's going on. And so that became the struggle, is that literally Facebook all of a sudden was a series of this, there's a bunch of 20-something-year-olds, and now 10 years later, it's like in the 40s, because you got all these grandparents that came onto the app because they want to be able to engage, because they know that that's where you're posting up a lot of stuff. And then Twitter, I called this basically the digital megaphone, right? So let's say, for example, there was, you remember there was a, unfortunately, there was like a shooting in Wausau, right? And so they needed to shut down the schools. They just tweeted that out. That's how I got notified by my bank that they were shutting down because there was some kind of emergency in the community, and they sent that out to a tweet. So if you think about that, there's not a better way from a PSA perspective, like a public service announcement, than to use Twitter. It's just boom, you post it out there. So it has a little bit of this attitude of almost like a megaphone, right? Like I'm just blasting stuff out there, and you can. The nice thing about it is, from a feed perspective, if I'm following you, Patrick, what happens is, or Pat, as you keep posting things out, the way the algorithm works, I'm not getting inundated with you one after the other, because it's bringing in different feeds, it's bringing in different people that I might not necessarily be following. So it's trying to introduce you to some different thoughts or different individuals that you're not necessarily following. So it has a little bit more of this opportunity that you might be seen by somebody not in your current network. And of course, Twitter's the one that basically really promoted the hashtag, right? So for those of you that are older, we call that a pound sign, but it's a hashtag. And so the nice thing about the hashtag, right, is that now that's the way that you can search. So if I do hashtag PB and Jam, right, now all of a sudden I can pull up all the different feeds of anyone that's used that hashtag and see the things that are relevant. So there's value in using the trending hashtags of the day, right? So typically Monday, it's like Monday motivation, Tuesday thoughts, Wednesday wisdom, Thursday, some of it's throwback Thursday or TBH, not to be honest, TBT, or sometimes it's Thursday thoughts, Friday feeling, flashback Friday, and then Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Saturday motivation. So you can basically follow these trending hashtags, and that gets you, as you hashtag it, people can see what you're saying during that hashtag, right? It's one of the only few ones too. It's like, basically think of it like a digital water cooler or a coffee pot. That if, let's say, I'm watching the Packers play the Bears, and obviously I want the Packers to win, then I can literally start talking trash to people that put the same hashtag, GBV CHI, right? So then I'm following that, and then I can see anybody that's pro Packers, I can then follow them as well. And literally, it's a live session. So I literally, it's the only thing. It's one of the very few ones that's literally real time as I engage with the community, which is really nice. So in all these ages, right? Facebook is probably the demographic that's to be the broadest, right? Because you have 1.2 billion people. It's also one that's very global. So if you're trying to still connect locally, you might need to make sure that if you pay for ads, you set those filters locally, so that way you're not getting invitations to come buy a house and they're in New Jersey and you're here in Wausau, right? Not a lot of value for that paid ad. It goes too far. I know that people do move from other places here, but for the context of this is a little bit easier just to keep it homegrown. Instagram right now, I think it's getting a lot of attention for people. It's video, it's picture. Now, of course, people that were really in love with photos, they don't necessarily like it because basically we've all taken photos of our food and that's what we like to do. Because a lot of photographers wanted this to be a super fancy Instagram. They wanted to be this fancy social media, so we kind of went with that. And then demographically, you still see it. Majority is between the ages of about 22 to about 38. Right, that's the age range. That's the majority of it's hitting. So a little bit younger than Facebook. At the same time, there's going to be a lot more. There's a lot more growth happening right now on Instagram from a following perspective. People downloading it and jumping on the app versus any other. Snapchat is still predominantly the young person's game. One, because the older generation, we're busy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We don't see the value of going over to another media platform. This one, I think you definitely have some unique things here because you have some geo. So you can GPS stuff, and so you can basically make a fence around a specific event. So if let's say we're having an event to promote, let's say United Way on this date at a specific place, I can literally create what's called a geo fence, and then people can then, as they post, they can find this specific filter, and then it posts it up. So it's basically a way that you can advertise without them necessarily knowing that they're advertising for you, because it's just a way to be able to put this filter on that, hey, I'm at this event, and that's the way it kind of rolls. The tough thing about Snapchat is it's gotten a lot of negative press from the standpoint that people don't think there's going to be a lot of long-term value for Snapchat in regards to engagement. So let's just see what happens. And then finally, Twitter. I'd say age range, it's probably similar to Facebook. Still 40, basically the age of 21 to 40. I find that a lot of athletes go there, a lot of celebrities, obviously our president's there. And so it's one of the very few things that you'll find a lot of people blasting out their thoughts or their opinions. Right? Whether you like it or not, that Aaron Rodgers has an opinion about cats versus dogs, he does, and he might decide to tweet it. So it's one of those unique things that you're basically allowed to basically let your opinion be told. And so I'd say right now, you don't want to be at the mercy of any of these. You don't want to be neglect one over the other. But understand that we all have a certain number of hours in the day, so you can literally spend hours on these things. Okay, so just again, it goes back to that why. I wrote it down this time. Handwriting's still horrible. That hasn't changed. But remember, your why of why you're on social media should really trump everything that you decide to do. Right? Run that through your filter to know exactly what that means. So then let's go to. I'm going to hit logistics at the end because we can basically go through. We'll just do it through it. Building a tribe. So basically, let's call this building a following, right? How do I get people to engage with me, right? So if I run a business, right, Vicky, Greenhack, how do I get more people engaging on my content? One of the things that I just recently posted out there was literally an outline of exactly how to do that, right? How to do it daily, how to do it monthly, the strategies of leveraging hashtags. So for example, a lot of times when you do a hashtag for Instagram, if you're spelling out, you do the hashtag and you're spelling out the word, it'll tell you how many people have already hashtagged that, right? So if it's fitness, there's literally millions. You decide to put health and nutrition, again, you're getting more and more. You said something, you had your hand up?
I do. You gotta be careful with the hashtags. Because one time I did rub-a-dub-dub. It's just a little funny thing.
Yep.
We not know what's under rub-a-dub.
Yeah.
It's better if you're thinking of a hashtag to go look first to see what's under that hashtag.
Yeah.
So just my own part of my sucking at this.
However, Jackie, some people will use that as a way to get in.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So they know that so they'll put sex or sexy or bikini, even though there's no bikini. Just to be able to get in that filter, right? Because if you're looking through all these girls
Yes.
in bikinis or some guys in bikinis, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got this rub-a-dub-dub, we're doing a charity event. All of a sudden it might get viewed because you're in that feed, right? So the other thing is when it comes to you're going for quality of individuals, quality of engagements, than you are the quantity. And so the strategy, so again, you can find it on my Facebook page, or if you want to, I can immediately send it to you. I called it You Incorporated. So it's coming from the context of you're creating your own personal brand, and number one is leveraging of hashtags. You can do 30 in Instagram, right? Twitter already limits you to a certain number of characters. And so it's 280 now. They upgraded it. That could be a good or bad thing. We'll find out. I like brevity, but again, that's their choice. They control the app. And then the other thing on Facebook, you can do the same thing. It's just that too many hashtags in a caption. It's distracting, right? So the cool thing about Instagram is that the moment that you put a post, you just go right into the first comment, and then you can throw in 30 hashtags, copy and paste it in, which makes it really easy. The other thing that I would find out is start with your audience. Who are they, right? So let's say I'm Yang Yi. I'm a coach, right? I'm a leadership coach, and so I'm trying to find individuals that already have appreciation for personal development. So for me, if I'm following anybody, I'm following guys like Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, right? Brian Tracy, people that love that content, but guess what? They don't want to pay $5,000 to go to a date with the Destiny, or they like his content, but they don't want to. He's very colorful with his language. They might not necessarily want to go to that, so they might pay to come hear you speak if you're not so colorful, and they might spend $1,000 and maybe not $5,000 because they see the value of that. So know that, think about the audience that you're trying to attract. Where do they come from, right? So a lot of people, I'd say they're more B2B, right? They want to talk to business owners. Number one is business owners aren't on apps, right? The average, right? The majority of who's on their apps though is their chief marketing officer, their director of marketing, and then they basically tell the owner, this is what you got to do. And so a lot of times they can, thank you for that. So a lot of times what happens is they actually are the ones that are influencing the owner to actually make decisions. So they aren't taking their time to be able to go out there and watch the hashtags and look at the trends, or most business owners are head down, just focused on whatever, making widgets, having an awesome gym, like that's what they're focused on. So the thing that I would say here, the biggest one when it comes to building a tribe, you can't read that, I'm sorry. I don't know you're being tried. It's longevity. You gotta be around, right? So I would say for most people, do 1,000 posts and then start having a look at what's really working, right? So until you've done enough content, you have no idea what people are liking because you yourself haven't found your succinct voice in the marketplace, right? Because your voice is going to change as the people start engaging with you on your content. So you might find that, hey, I think it's really cool to show these videos of us different classes that we have, but you find that people are more engaging with the nutrition posts. So then you start going on the nutrition posts, and then again, 1,000 posts, which should take you about a year and a couple months, because you want to post anywhere between 3 to 7 times per day. It's a lot of content. I know when people hear that, they're like, oh, that's just so much. And then let me just tell you, it's very easy. Carrie Ann's filming this. I can literally go into Snapchat or any of the apps, and I can just show a clip of this, right? So I have just one piece of content. It could be 5 minutes long, and I just take a clip of it. Boom! I just paste it into it. So it's just very, very simple. It literally is that simple.
Sure, 3 to 7 per day per app.
No, just choose an app.
Total, right?
Yeah.
And finding a way to link those apps, that took me 2 hours to
Yes.
navigate. But that was and then I learned that don't post on Facebook first, post on Instagram first, and then you can swipe your email and then, yeah, so, but
Yes.
figuring that out just takes some time.
Yes, it does. It does. It does.
Do you use the scheduling for social media?
Yeah. So is my schedule, or can I schedule stuff?
Do you do like buffers or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go there. So there's some tools out there. They're basically trying to take over a marketing person's role, right? So an entry-level marketing person, your job is just to be replaced by basically 3 apps. Hootsuite and Social Jukebox. So all of these are ways to automate your posting. So one of the very cool ones is Social Jukebox. Now I think you have to pay like $10 a month to be able to do this function of it. It's free. It'll automatically post up certain things for you. I think it's like 1 post every certain number of hours, and it'll just automatically do that. So for me on Social Jukebox and for Twitter, I just have it just pumping out motivation quotes. 1, because I like motivational quotes because I'm easily motivated, and 2, because a lot of people like them. But what you can do if you pay for the subscription, you can actually create an Excel spreadsheet that has the different posts that you want out there, and it'll automatically just keep posting for you. So let's say, for example, you decided that you're going to have a podcast, right? Every week you're going to have a podcast, and so you want tweets to go out reminding people that you have this podcast coming out, and so you basically have a post come out on Monday morning, another post come out on Monday afternoon, and another post come out on Tuesday morning, reminding people that on Wednesday you have that post. Now, some people are going to say, well, I don't want to bother people, I think I'm posting too many times. Look, how many times have you seen a McDonald's commercial? There's thousands of them worldwide, yet they still are in every single medium of content to advertise. I've seen them in print media. They have an app. They're on billboards. They are everywhere. Even though we all know what McDonald's is and we see them on every corner, they still spend millions upon millions of dollars to get in front of us. So the same thing works for you. If you want to get in front of people, whether it's business to business or it's your side hustle, it's your main gig, you got to get over that, right? It's a defensive way of thinking, like, oh, I'm going to bother people. No, you want to bother people. That way they know who you are. If they don't know who you are, then you have to bother people enough. So all of these, you can actually they're .coms, right? So Buffer, Hootsuite, SocialJukebox.com, and then you can just, again, you can enroll and you can just start setting some automation. One thing that I would avoid doing is having engagement that's automated. So let's say, for example, you can have a functionality on Buffer that'll automatically respond to people as they follow you. I think it's just a big no-no, right? So again, the most amount of people that are going to follow you, like in one day, is maybe 20. I think it's appropriate to just send a response back that says, hey, thanks for following me. Thanks for following me. And you can literally copy and paste that, and that'll take you about 7 minutes, maybe 8 if you're slow at holding the button down and pressing paste. But because you want the engagement to come authentically from you, even if it is just a canned response, you want it to come from you rather than an automated machine, right? That's the way it's going to sound better that way, or it's going to come across better to that individual. I go to the cumbersome process. If anyone follows me on Twitter, I will take a video and say, hey, thanks for following me. Just because I want to have that much more of a differentiator when I respond. And then people, what they do with it? They retweet it. So then not only did their followers see it, but then now they've retweeted it to everybody. Okay? So it's a little strategy. Oh, yes. So you got to stick around. So many people, this is their problem, is that they post out like 100 things and like, I'm not getting engagement, nobody's following me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, how long have you been doing it? I don't know, like 6 months? 6 months? And you're ready to give up? Like, how long did it take you to learn to walk? How long did it take you to learn to talk? You're probably still learning how to turn. I know I'm still learning how to talk in a normal format. And I was just telling Lynn, I just made up a word the other day. So, you're not meant to do that. So, what you want to be able to make sure that you're in for the long game. It goes back to your why. Like, if the whole attitude is I want to be able to put Green Heck on the map when it comes to health and nutrition and fitness, well then that should be a long life. That should be like their eternal goal. Like that should never go away. And so being short-minded about one post that only got like 2 likes on it and like one person commenting is just downright silly, right? It's such a short-minded game. And at the same time, too, I wouldn't get too enamored if, let's say, you did a post and like 100 people liked it, and you got 10 people commenting on it, and then the next week you get like 50. Like, don't get too caught up in the numbers. because that can be a way that you end up shortchanging your content. You end up doing things for razzmatazz, right? So it very much reminds me of the guy that's like, I'm going to do some fitness posts, and he's like, doesn't get enough, so he decides to take his shirt off and show off his six-pack. Nice, but then you just totally alienated everybody that doesn't like dudes with six-packs. Well, not that there's a lot of them, but because I love dudes with six-packs. I absolutely love them. But I'm married, totally straight, but I just love dudes with six-packs. But I know some of you don't. That's your problem. Anything else on building a tribe? Long game. It's a long game, Allison. Long game.
Does it take? I thought the algorithm worked a little better, showed people more of your stuff if you were commenting, if you get more comments than just likes, right? So you really want to encourage people to comment.
Engage. Yeah. No, so Lynn brings up a really good point that as people like your stuff and as they go beyond, I call it going beyond the double tap, right? Because if you're on Instagram, you can kind of double tap a bunch of photos or videos, you're just hearting it, just liking emoji. But people that start making comments, it starts then getting seen more, right? It starts coming up in the feed more. Spot on. So what you can do, as a lot of people end up doing, is they offer like free coaching sessions. They offer free things, right? A free T-shirt. I'm amazed at how many times, like Quick Trip, by the way, if you want to follow somebody, it's got some really good social media game. Quick Trip just dominates the marketplace, and they're even good on Snapchat, which I'm impressed with, because I think for a business to be able to get onto that app and create engagement is really good. But one thing that they do is they give away like free coffee, which is like, again, like what, 50 cents? No, overall cost for them is probably like 20 cents. No, probably 10. They're buying it in such massive bulk. Or they give away t-shirts, they give away hats, like they just give away free stuff. So if you don't have swag for your own personal business or for your business altogether, I would tell your boss, I would tell the marketer, say, hey, we need some t-shirts, we need some pens, we need something that we can be able to promote and just give away. And I'm just absolutely shocked. Well, actually, I'm not shocked, because in college, I would do a ton of stuff just for free shirts. I remember filling out a credit card application just to get a free baseball. And I don't play baseball. So we want free stuff. That's how we're wired. I don't know. We just like free stuff.
I think, though, you have to do a paid ad to offer stuff for free. Was it changed? A couple years ago, I got shut down for a few days because I did that, but
so there's some rules when it comes to like a Facebook. It has to be random. So you can't just be like, hey, if you comment and you like and you tag and you share, then I can give you. No, it's anybody that basically, if you have the ability to see who likes it or the ability to see who's commented, it has to be completely random. That's where it comes from. So you can't force people to have to do certain things beyond liking or commenting, and then it has to be completely random. So it can't be like, oh, because you tagged like 500 people, now you won, right? Because then it's not random. Now you're basically inducing people to perform a certain action. A really good point. That gets really technical. Well, not really, but it is.
I have something on that. When I do a contest, then I usually do a live drawing of the winner, so everybody that participated have them in there. And those are the most popular posts. People watching the video of me literally like picking the person's name. I don't know why I do that.
We just love the idea of the suspense, right? We're just suspense-driven people, right? Any other questions about building a tribe? Okay, so this next one's podcast. I'd say audio.